focus on your money. You guys gotta focus on the number. What is the number? I'm talking about the number that you need to make every single day to where it enables you to live the life that you want and to pursue the goals that you're striving to achieve right now in your life. You guys need to figure out the expenses, how much you're making every day, every year. You guys need to figure out the math behind your life. And how you can do that, how I often do that, is I look at a set of questions I ask myself, which is pretty much, what kind of a house do you want to live in? What do you want your housing situation to be like? How many rooms do you want in your house? How many bathrooms do you want in your house? Do you want carpet? Do you want tile? How big do you want the house? Maybe you don't need a house. Maybe you want an apartment. What state do you want to live in? What city do you want to live in? Do you want to live in the populated area where there's more going on but you have to pay a little bit higher? Or do you want to go to an area where it's not as popular, to where you might have to drive farther and to get places, but you pay less on the rent? You guys got to figure out the expenses, where you're currently staying, what's the rent and the expenses that you're paying there. If you plan on staying there, then the math is pretty easy for you because you already know the math, because you're already paying the math, which is the bills. But if you plan on moving to a different state or moving anywhere, just moving in general, then you got to figure out the expenses behind that. You got to figure out the math behind that, so you can figure out what your expenses are in the daily terms. You might spend $1,100 on your monthly rent, but what is that per day? What is your expenses per day? Then you also got to figure out your food. You got to figure out the type of car you drive, whether or not you're leasing a car, what your car insurance is. You got to factor in all these expenses from your month and figure out what the number is per day of your expenses that adds up to your monthly expenses. And why you guys got to figure this number out is because once you know this number, once you know what your expenses are every single month, and then you figure it out for what your expenses are every single day, then you can now set yourself a number to make every single day. For most people, I'd say that's probably an average of around $100 a day. If you're making $100 a day, you can pay your bills, you can buy your food, you can do stuff with your money, you can buy Christmas gifts, but you won't have too much left over. But really, everyone's number is different. Some people want to be wealthier than more people. Some people want to buy more stuff. Some people want to live in different areas. Some people don't care where they live or how cheap it is or how small the place you're staying is. It's all different for different people. It's all custom. So you got to figure out your expenses, things that you're spending every single month, and cut that down. And figure out how much money you need to be making every single day. Another question you can ask yourself is, how much money do I want in my savings account a year from now? Now let's just say you have zero savings. And let's say that you want your savings account to be at $20,000 this time next year. Then you have to figure out the math. You got to count the expenses that you have over the next year as well. That's why you got to figure out your expenses. And then you can figure out, all right, how much surplus would I need to have every single day to where when it adds up at the end of 365 days, I have 20 G's in my savings account, untouched. So you have to do the math. Do you have to make $200 a day? Do you have to make $256 a day? Do you have to make $120 a day? How much do you need to make a day to where you have enough surplus to put away $20,000 in your savings account by this time next year, if that's what your goal is? Now, it'll be a different number if you want to have $50,000 in your savings. It'll be a different number if you want to have $5,000 in your savings. You guys got to figure out the number that you're aiming to hit every single day in dollars, so that when you're going out there and you're looking for the job path and the career path that you guys want, you can take into factor the number that you have in your head that you need to make every single day. Or if you have a job, like a sales job, where you need more motivation, you can look at that number as your motivation to keep going and pursuing forward, because you have a goal to hit. It's a lot easier to keep going and work longer hours and put in more work and effort than other people when you have a finish line that you're running towards that you're able to look at while you're running towards it. Most people, what they do is they're just running. We're all running the same race, but most of us aren't focusing on the finish line. And I set myself little finish lines at the end of every single day. There's a finish line, and you got to keep your eye on the prize, your eye on the finish line, so that you're focused on that goal. So that when you get closer to it, let's say your goal is to make $100 a day, for example. Well, if you're at $50 on the day, and you know your goal is 100, then you're more likely to want to keep going and make it to that $100 mark, where most people would have given up at 75 or 85 because they weren't simply keeping track of where they were. They're like, oh, I worked hard, I did well today, time to hang up the coat rack and go home, right? Well, if you had known that your goal was 100 and that you were only at 95 or 85, I'm pretty sure that every single one of us would have kept going and gotten those 14 or 15 more dollars real quick, because you're keeping track of your statistics. So really just keep track of the math in your life, the math in life that matters, which is money. Okay, not algebra, not geometry, money. All you need with money is simple math, which is addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. And it starts off really simple, which is your incremental income, what you make every single day, minus your expenses that come up every single day. That's your surplus. What do you do with that surplus? Are you investing it? Are you saving it? Are you spending it on fast food? What are you doing with your surplus? Ask yourself what you're doing with your surplus, and then ask yourself what you could be doing with your surplus. And then the second question you ask is how you can increase the amount of money that you're making every single day so that you can have more in your surplus to do more things with. Just a little talk on money. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you did, drop me a comment down below. I always comment back because I appreciate any form of support that you guys give us. Drop us a like, make sure to subscribe and post notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace, Illuminists.